Hi. All right. Bam. Take two, Nico. Take two. We had a bit of a failure here in the pre-production here just before here, but now we are live. Nico, you are on the other side of the world. How are you doing today?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good. I'm awesome. Awesome. It's just 6 o'clock in the morning here in San Diego. Perfect time to have a little bit of a, clubhouse coffee chat revival like we used to do back in the days where the two of us just met. And it seems like the dynamic duo is back once again as, some other people are on vacation, which is a good thing to do, to be honest.
Exactly. When the boys are on vacation, then we take over, Nico. And this duo, you can't take it away. That's for sure. We have a fantastic program here in front of us today. And hello everyone, and welcome to joining us, Bogdan, Ignacio. Really nice to have you guys here. Hopefully, we can keep you entertained here for the next 45 minutes, an hour or so. We have a couple of really interesting points to discuss today. I'll just do a little bit of an overview here. The first kind of major news we're going to discuss today is lottery.com, which may be forced to close down after their CFO overstated the cash balance, which is now putting their liquidity in jeopardy. They are not able to pay salaries at the moment, and we're going to go into that a little bit further. Second point is there's a war breaking out in California at the moment. And Nico, you are in California now, and I was in California a couple of months ago and turned on the TV, Fox News. I'm not proud to admit it, but I was watching Fox News. And on the commercial break, and this is, now we are talking in May, there was advertisements running to basically paid for by the tribes in California trying to lobby against the upcoming sports betting bill, the proposition number 27, which is looking to legalize online sports betting. On the other side of the fence, we have a consortium of online sports betting operators who are also running ads in order to promote Bill 27, of course. And these bills are very aggressive, these advertisements. And we are constantly striving to improve our production here at iGaming Next, and today we're going to show some of the videos that are currently running in California. So let's see if the technology is on our side. But very, very interesting what's happening there, and it's predicted to be the most expensive lobbying efforts for a bill in California ever. So all eyes on California, and we're going to talk about that. Point number 3 is where are the Ontario numbers? We're going to talk about a story that doesn't exist. Let's say we have been spoiled by the fact that we are getting numbers and breakdown of revenue per operator in New York on a week-to-week basis, and the hope was that we were going to see something similar from Ontario. But so far, there's no reported numbers on the state of Ontario. Where are the numbers? We're going to talk about that. Point number 4 as well is research done by Vixio, who is making the case that the US are currently missing out on over $6 billion USD in potential tax revenue if the United States would legalize online gambling in all states. What would it mean for the country? Interesting. And final point as well today, for especially those on the European side will have noticed the major fine that was handed out to Leo Vegas by the UK GC yesterday, I believe, or 2 days ago, of £1.2 million. And we have some quite interesting comments around these fines and what this means to other operators, where were the failings, and what other operators can learn from this, essentially. But before we jump into this, and I want to say hi as well to Monica for joining us here. Nice to have you with us as well. We're going to try something new today as well, which is 5 stories is not enough to talk about. And we tend to go quite deep into these stories. So we're going to start today with Nico has essentially prepared what we used to do back in the clubhouse day. Just 5 minutes where Nico is just going to kind of recap the week in iGaming. And so, Nico, why don't you take it away here? And I'm going to see if we can get up a little countdown here as well for you so that you have a little bit more pressure on you. Okay? All right. Oop. Oh, okay. But go ahead, Nico. Go ahead. Okay, here we go.
So
Here we go.
basically we'll do is like covering like 10 stories in 5 minutes, starting with the Germany. The gaming industry blasts an order to close all retail betting shops in Bremen, which is the smallest city-state of Bremen. So the city has rejected an application from 32 high street betting shops that had applied for the new licenses under Germany's new interstate gambling treaty, which came into effect last year, July the 1st. It said that some operators owning the retail shop or running the retail shop, failed to provide written evidence how they had secured, and now believe it or not, the startup funds for their businesses. While one was located too close to a school, that's why this one had to be closed. Operators have until 5th of August to appeal. So then Catena
Time
Media
is ticking.
Catena Media takes control of NJ.com, the gambling coverage. The agreement will see Catena Media provide high quality coverage of online sports betting and casino developments for advanced local audiences across legislated US state. And what's quite interesting is the publisher, Catena Media, will take over the online gambling coverage duties for NJ.com by previously owned rival Better Collective, which ran these operations since 2019. Tribes in Maine must wait before offering sports betting. Native American tribes in Maine will have to wait several months or even over a year before they can offer sports betting at casinos and online in the state of Maine. Then the Massachusetts sports betting market starts to take shape. Massachusetts lawmakers approved an online sports betting bill this Monday by 1st of August, which will allow up to 15 online licensees to actually run the operations. How it will work, legislation allows states three major gaming facilities owned by MGM Springfield, Winds Encore, Boston Harbor, and Penn National's Plainrate Park Casino to partner with two online sportsbook apiece. So in addition, it will be 15 in total. Then giving you some numbers, Rhode Island betting handle surpasses 500 million in the 21-2022. Nevada gambling revenue reaches a record of 14.6 billion in the same area, 2021-2022. Then heading over to the M&M and finance world, Playtech goes cold on the Kelly Play SPAC plans. So the board of Playtech PLC has suspended plans to divest its shareholding in Mexican B2C joint venture Kelly Play. The original plan was to divest Kelly Play via a SPAC merger and subsequent IPO. Saw deal makers target a return between 700 and 800 million on this joint venture investment. So Playtech has agreed that due to the actual headwinds in the overall finance market, they will not go for the SPAC. Then Kindred launches a 20 million share buyback scheme. The Kindred Group has told investors that the company will begin a share buyback. The buyback was approved during an extraordinary general meeting held back in June already. And details of that share buyback program is Kindred Group has already put a cap on how many shares may be bought back, with the company arguing that it will not seek to retrieve more than 23 million shares. As an additional, the company reminded us that Kindred Holdings won't be more than 10%, won't be holding more of the 10%. As of now, they released 230 million shares As of now, they hold already roughly 9 million, and they will buy back 23 million more. Last but not least, one more topic. There is two. IGT puts aside 150 million for a probable loss in the Double Down lawsuit. So the International Game Technology, IGT, has allocated $150 million to cover the probable loss of a lawsuit against its former subsidiary, Double Down. So Double Down was facing a case when still belonging to IGT in 2017 and has gone through a number of stages through various courts already. And however, $150 million will cover that cost. And now the last topic, Munich-based ID Now has landed a deal which will give them $60 million in euros debt facilities to power their expansion plans. And guess who is behind the 60 million? It's the all well-knowing BlackRock. So what we have seen already, that companies are actually filling their pockets with fresh money. And as I'm quite close to the company, birds are already saying and singing that they are pretty close to actually close the deal, which will be announced pretty much this month already. So coming back to the point, we have seen it quite often that companies fill up their pockets with fresh money to actually start M&A activities, which we have seen across all verticals and across all suppliers already. So that has been my 10 topics within a couple of minutes.
All right, we'll have to extend that timer a bit, I think, for next week. But nonetheless, Nico, it's great to have these breakdowns back again. It feels like a blast from the past. Almost, we used to do this every single week at Clubhouse. So thank you for putting it together once again. Perfect summary of 10 of some of the most interesting news here of the week. And just some comments here from the chat, Nico. First of all, Bogdan. He says he read the other day that New York is waking up to discuss allowing online casinos to bring tax profits estimated at 400 million. And I suppose this is something that the state senator Joseph P. Adabo is pushing for essentially, and he has been committing himself to try to implement online gambling in the state of New York, which is currently only allowing online sports betting, not online casino, right? So the traditional casino games are not allowed in the state of New York at the moment. And the state senator Joseph P. Adabo, he is the same senator that was able to lobby and push through the online sports betting bill, and he has now shifted focus now to also implement online gambling. However, he was hopeful that this was going to be implemented in the budget in the state of New York already this year, but it was not. He is facing fierce opposition from political level in New York, and while he is still lobbying for these efforts, it is not until next year, according to my understanding, in spring or something like that, where he will have the next chance to discuss to include this in the budget of the state of New York. So Bogdan, it'd be interesting to know if there's been any particular development other than just discussions on that front. But this is the latest that I have heard, at least. And also, Nico, before we jump into the topics here as well, and as Connor points out here, I'm sure you've had time to take a long breath there in between. Narcissus, it's nice to have him joining in here today again. He's asking about the German regulator here. I'm curious to know your thoughts here. Why is Germany so restricted on so many aspects? Is this a cultural thing? What's your thoughts here on the German regulation and just the restrictiveness that they are showing so far?
Yeah. So first of all, the overall German regulation has some kind of history. You know, they started filing or preparing the German regulation back in 2006. If you want to look it up, there's the Gambelli lawsuit, when it was firstly acknowledged that Germany is running a state monopoly with their lotteries, state-owned lotteries. So that's when this monopoly actually fell, and the overall state had to open up to the operators. They wouldn't. In the end, they didn't do it, to file the new gambling interstate treaty, which came into effect last year in July. That's why a lot of operators were able to actually, run their operations from Malta and expand their business to Germany as well. Why Germany is so restrictive? I wouldn't state like it's so restrictive. We have a deposit limit of 1,000 euros per month, which can increase for sports betting up to 30,000 euros on a monthly basis. We are seeing deposit limits across all jurisdictions as well. But Germany is in the news for sure. Just remembering what I just told about the betting shops in Bremen. And this is something which we also see across all nations, across all regulators, and last but not least, across all politicians, as especially if you're literally stating something against gaming, iGaming, gambling, slots in particular. These are low-hanging fruits which some politicians use all the time to actually gain some more votes on them. So we have some elections in Germany as well. We've seen the same in the Netherlands as well, where it's even more restrict with respect to going for the license, because if you don't go for a license in the Netherlands, you are not able to operate within the Dutch market exactly the same time span which you ran your business unlicensed as soon as you got the license. So imagine you ran your operations for 2 years without having a license, then you get a license, then you're not allowed to operate for 2 more years. That's why Kindred had to pull out of the Dutch market, and they went back into the German market as well.
Brilliant, Nico. And a comment here to add on to some context here by Bernd Henning, who is commenting as well that the Germany regulation is still mainly based on the gambling committee, who nearly never agree 100% on a license approval. This will be changed, however, probably from the 1st of January 2023, when just the regulator itself will be responsible without the committee to decide about license approvals. So essentially, Bert is saying that after January 1st, 2023, most likely, the process will be a bit more straightforward, perhaps. Yes, brilliant. We're gonna jump over to kind of the first topic of today, which is related a little bit to let's say poor liquidity. We reported an exclusive story at iGaming Next earlier in the week that Scout Gaming Group is having liquidity issues and urgently need to seek additional funding in order to operate. But that is not the story that we're going to focus on now. But on a similar note, lottery.com is also facing liquidity issues. We reported on this story a couple of weeks ago that the lottery.com had essentially overstated their financial accounts and their liquidity by 30 million USD. And keep in mind at that time that the market cap of the company, which is publicly listed, was around 50 million at that time. So we spoke about that time that this is a major overstatement, obviously, for an organization of that market capitalization. And after the news broke a couple of weeks later here, it is now surfacing that lottery.com is facing liquidity issues now based on this kind of overstatement of finances. This is not unusual in the startup world that it's difficult to keep track of your finances, and you end up having a lot less money than you think. But for a publicly traded company, this is obviously extraordinary that this fault has taken place. The CFO was terminated here a while ago as a result of this. The incoming person to take over the finances resigned as well shortly after. And last week, the founder and CEO, Tony DeMatteo, has also resigned from the company, which is now facing liquidity issues. So, Nico, would you like to go a little bit deeper into this story, perhaps?
So first of all, they filed a filing to the SEC as a stock listed company in Nasdaq. Exactly, you have to file reports to the SEC. And what you already mentioned is that we're seeing C-levels leaving the board or are forced to leave the board. And with the chart, can you just put back the chart on? So if we go to the highest value, which was $17.50, and then they had a market cap of more than $1 billion. As of now, they are literally going down, burning a lot of money, and as of now, they are traded at roughly 55 cents. There you can just see what an impact it actually had. So with these filing made to the SEC, they specifically pointed out that as of now, they already owe approximately $425,000 as outstanding payroll obligations to their existing employees. And guess what? They are stating that not paying your employees might lead to employees actually leaving the company, while C-levels decide on their own, okay, it's probably too hard to actually being involved in these operations. As of now, the employees are literally forced to leave the company as they are not getting paid. And this is the actual we are seeing as of now. And they pretty much stated that due to this obligations, one of the risks is that key employees are actually leaving the company. And that's just the latest what we're hearing from lottery.com. And I'm pretty sure it's not the last what we will hear.
No, absolutely. It's interesting here. We're for the first time we are getting attacked by spam bots here in the chat. By the way, it was a long time coming, I think. But yeah, nonetheless, we'll get to enjoy that a little bit too. But yes, as you point out here, Nico, lottery.com peaked at its market cap of nearly $1 billion USD about a year ago, and since then they have lost. Let's see. They have lost like 98% of the market cap. Yeah, 97% of the market cap. And the company is today worth around 20 million USD rather than 1 billion. And so you can see how quick the tides can turn for an organization. And this is not the only company in the industry that have made these swings on the stock market since last year. Unfortunately, many organizations have lost a large amount of market cap, specifically those who are more speculative. We've seen many of the esports gambling B2C brands losing a lot of their market cap as well to this extent. But obviously in the case here of lottery.com, this is further fueled on by the fact that yes, they obviously massively overstated their cash balance, and the company is now in danger of not being able to continue to operate. And in their FCC filing, they talk about the potential snowball effect that this will bring. The fact that they are not able to pay their employees' salaries at the moment, which obviously potentially will lead to an exodus of employees, and in turn partners leaving the company because they just don't have the support they need, and the snowball effect is in motion, so to say. So I suppose we will see in the next couple of weeks here what will be the result of this mess within the company. But if you're running a company and looking after your company finances, checking up on your CFO, not letting one person control the finances should be a priority for any organization, and we can clearly see here why. What happens when someone messes up the finances? It can risk the entire company, of course. Like I said, this is not uncommon for startups, which is very messy and growing too quick and not really allowing the growth on the structure side and so on. But for a publicly traded company, this is obviously a disaster. Nico, second point, and I'm really excited about this actually. Because we're going to test the limits of our streaming software today by trying to stream some videos today, which is really interesting and fun. But we pointed out here that, Nico, you are currently in the state of California at the moment, which is an battleground state, not because of the Democrats and Republicans. The battleground kind of name has not really been associated to California traditionally, which is a very democratic state. So elections are not really that important in the state of California. It's not, at least not on a federal general election level. But on the other hand, down the ballot, there are a number of different questions that are being voted on in the election in November, the midterm election. One of them, of course, is California going to legalize online sports betting? There are two bills that are going to be voted on, Proposition 26 and Proposition 27. And they are very different, these two bills, okay? And there's basically, this boils down to a war between the local tribes in the state of California versus the online sports betting operators, as we know them, the DraftKings, the FanDuels, the Ballybets, and so on. And so the proposition number 26 is targeting, let's say, the local tribes, for them to be able to offer sports betting, which is currently not allowed by the tribes, versus proposition number 27, which is then being voted on to legalize sports betting, online sports betting, which is a proposition that has been brought forward by the consortium of the online sports betting operators. So on the one hand, you have the very powerful tribes in California who absolutely does not want anyone to touch anything to do with gambling within the state of California. The tribes have a monopoly on gambling for the moment being in the state of California. And then proposition number 27, of course, is driven by the online sports betting operators who want to offer sports betting in the state, online sports betting in the state of California. And already months ago, the war started on a public level with TV advertisements, basically, no holds bar. These are two forces that are fighting each other, and it's predicted to be the most expensive political campaign ever in California, this battle between the online sports betting operators versus the local tribes. But Nico, feel free, can you give a little bit more context here? And then we're going to watch two of these advertisements, basically, that have been published so far. But feel free to give some more context there, Nico.
Yeah, so this is an ongoing topic since quite a lot of time. And just backing up what you just said, so the tribes supporting their Proposition 26, they actually are operating in California with their retail shops. And for sure, they don't want to have anyone taking away their revenues with some online offerings as well. And the Proposition 27, which is in the favor of the Magic 7, so the very, very wealthy US operating online gaming giants, which is backed by more than $100 million. Just you already named them, the FanDuels, the DraftKings, etc. They supposed so they claim that they will give away at least, if I'm not mistaken, 18% to the poor and homeless. So this is their actual approach, like, okay, we will do good with the money we will bring on the table. Then another news which came up a couple of months ago because the Senate is run by the Democrats, so they have the majority. And one of the state senators already told that all the Democrats will vote for a no to Proposition 27. Last week, we just had a news that another senator will not back Proposition 26, as he is just aiming for liberal and open market. And what you just said, we are not just talking about two parties fighting each other. We are talking about two very, very rich parties fighting each other and making a point. So that's why we are seeing this TV adverts all over the place. You actually can't hide away from this TV advert in any possible way. And I'm just thrilled to see what our streaming software will be capable of doing, and just to see what we actually can see each and everywhere on TV.
Absolutely. So we are living in 2022, and so we're gonna test and take this streaming software to the limit today. But yeah, so we're gonna show two of these advertisements. So just give context in how raw and uncensored and a bit brutal these advertisements. Obviously, the stakes are very high here, and so we're gonna start by showing the advertisement from the consortium of the sports betting operators, who obviously want to legalize online sports betting here. So let's see if I can bring this up here, and you get some context on how this looks.
Years, California's non-gaming tribes have been left in the dust. Wealthy tribes with big casinos make billions, while small tribes struggle in poverty. Prop 27 is a game changer. 27 taxes and regulates online sports betting to fund permanent solutions to homelessness while helping every tribe in California. So who's attacking Prop 27? Wealthy casino tribes who want all the money for themselves. Support small tribes. Address homelessness. Vote yes on 27.
Wealthy casino operators who wants all the money for themselves. Yes, I like it. It's I love the States. My sister, my family lives there, but it's very American, let's say. And so as you can see, this is not really to talk well about why. Or they mention, of course, that this is helping to fight homelessness, which is a massive issue in California. Anyone who has been there will agree with that. This is the number one issue there. And I don't know if you've been in central San Francisco yet, Nico, in your stay there, but it is shocking actually how bad the homelessness issue is in San Francisco, even on the mainstream streets and stuff like that. So it is no wonder that obviously this is the focus of the bill here. So as we can see here, obviously, very infected question. This consortium of the online sports betting operators are pushing on the fact that the bill 26 is essentially only for the wealthiest of tribes, whereas the smaller tribes, they are suffering because of the fact that only the wealthier tribes are trying to take all the money from the gambling activities. And as a response to this advert, the tribes, so a consortium of the tribes, they released a response to this advertisement video, and we're going to play that now, and you can see how infected this question is going to be.
This ad, it's not paid for by California tribes. It's paid for by the out-of-state gambling corporations that wrote Prop 27. It doesn't tell you 90% of the profits go to the out-of-state corporations. A tiny share goes to the homeless and even less to tribes. And a big loophole says costs to promote betting reduce money for the tribes, so they get less. Hidden agendas, fine print, loopholes, Prop 27. They didn't write it for the tribes or the homeless. They wrote it for themselves.
Yeah, there we go. It says itself, I think, this advert. And so the tribes are, of course, trying to make the case here that this is not a bill by Californians for Californians. This is a bill by out-of-state organizations who are trying to grab profits for themselves. Essentially, this is the kind of the ethos in this advertisement. And so you can see that we are still 3 to 4 months out from the actual vote taking place, and already a lot of money are being pumped into these advertisement campaigns. I read something like more than $250 million is being raised within these two consortiums, basically, and so $250 million is spent on aggressive marketing in order to get either Bill 26 voted through or voted against, basically. And so, if you are a Californian, more and more you will start see this fight that is breaking out between the consortium. It's also worth to point out here that the consortium of the sports betting operators. So you mentioned the 7 here earlier, Nico. Basically, DraftKings, FanDuel, BetMGM, Ballybet, WinBet, Barstool, and Fanatics. They have also, the proposal that they have put together here for proposition number 27, it states that in order to gain an online sports betting license, you have to pay a license fee of $100 million. That is the license fee in order to operate in the state of California. Talk about a proposal that is only for the major players. $100 million just to start your operations, right? And then taxes on top of that, of course. But yeah, so you can start to see why the state of California is such a big price. It's estimated to be a market of, I believe, something like 3 billion. I don't know if you remember, Nico, exactly what the estimations were for the size of the market of California itself. But if I'm not mistaken, it's in the billions, essentially, in turnover. Yeah, and so this is the biggest price in the United States. Obviously, California is one of the biggest economies in the world if you take the state on its own, right? So wealthy state, a lot of people, and so on. So it will be interesting to follow up on this now, of course, when we get closer to the election.
Yeah, and the $100 million you just mentioned is payable upfront to give you the actual right to operate in that state for 10 years. So it's a license fee being paid upfront to the state of California. So at least if these Magic 7 will make it, we are talking about $700 million being paid to the state. And what you already mentioned is, like, first of all, we see all the big tech companies based usually in the Silicon Valley, like the Metas, the Googles, and the Apples as well. But if you just walk around in San Francisco, you just see the downside of poverty quite clearly, as all around the city center. You see homeless people. If you just walk by the central railway station, this is even worse. So it is a big issue, and that is how the sports betting operators from the outside actually are seeing their chance to make a point. But if you just compare it to other states, example giving Germany as well, the money being raised or the revenues being gained by the state are used to actually support social activities as well. So this is quite common to take money from one a vertical and hand it out to other verticals which don't get the money. And as said, if I'm not mistaken, they wanted to give 15 or 18% of their revenues to the homeless. So they might obviously have a point. And one thing is for sure, as we just tackled this issue today, we had at least 4 or 5 stories to back up what we're just saying. And if we are coming closer to the actual election of Proposition 26 and 27, there will be even more news to cover. So California has been an ongoing topic and will for sure not cool down, and for sure will stay a hot topic for quite a long time.
Thank you for that, Nico. Next point, Nico, I have a question for you. Where are the Ontario numbers?
That's quite an interesting question. As if I'm not mistaken, the state of Ontario, they started operating by 1st of April, and they were supposed to at least report once a quarter. Guess what? Quarter is over, and we still don't see any official numbers from Ontario. One of the representatives already stated like, okay, they just want to get it right. That's why we didn't see any numbers. So it will be thrilling to see what's actually behind the curtain, as this has been the first state which actually opened after the state of New York, where only the licensees are actually able to operate in that market. So within the state of Ontario, it has been the first state where we could see the big heavyweights like the DraftKings, FanDuel, and the Bet365 of this world actually competing for numbers. And we are all thrilled to actually see numbers flying in. And the numbers which we can already see is, if I'm not mistaken, these are numbers from PointsBet. They just indicate, so they reported the Q4 numbers. Sorry, they reported the 2022 numbers, which includes the Q4 numbers as well. And they just took only a revenue of $200,000 from the province of Ontario. And PointsBet is for sure one of the bigger operators. So probably this is the actual underlying that numbers, probably the numbers from Ontario ain't that big as everybody estimated them to be.
Very interesting story here, Nico, and really excited, of course, to see the numbers coming out at some point. As you point out here, I just want to repeat this, is that iGaming Ontario committed themselves to report the numbers on a quarterly basis, but they are delayed. The quarter is finished. Where are the numbers? We need to see them. We are very excited. But there's also expectations here that we may not see the same type of breakdown in revenue as we do see from some of the American states, where you get a breakdown on revenue from each operator, which is what we see in New York. And it's really interesting because you can follow the trend lines. You can see which operator is outperforming who, and it's just really interesting to see. But the early expectations is that we will just see revenue broken down by sport rather than by operator. And so it remains to be seen exactly how Ontario will operate its numbers here as well. Obviously, the US states are one of the few kind of local regulators who are reporting a breakdown of the operators' numbers. We don't really see that in other jurisdictions in Europe, for example. So we get a unique insight in the states of the US, where we can clearly compare like for like who is performing well and why. Nico, I'm mindful of the time is rushing past us here. Let's jump into the fourth point as well here today, which is a report by Vixio, who is making the claim here that the US states are leaving billions of tax revenue on the table by the fact that they are not, by the fact that most states are not legalized for online gambling, and the expectation is that $6.35 billion of tax revenue are being brushed aside, let's say, by the fact that most states are not legalized for online gambling. Can you expand on this story as well?
Yeah, just a little bit. So first of all, Vixio came up with the says the Vixio gambling compliance report is stating that the US could generate more than $6.3 billion in annual tax revenue from the adoption of iGaming forecast of the report, and this report was produced following a request of Light and Wonder, so one of the companies being involved in the overall gaming space as well. And the aforementioned estimation of combined 6.3 billion in just annual tax revenue assumes that a 20% tax rate would be applied to the operators' gross gaming revenue, or the money won after winnings have been distributed. So just remember, in the state of New York, we are facing a tax barrier of 51%, and this overall report is been estimating $6.3 billion in tax revenues with a tax rate of 20%. And we also have a take or a statement of, once again, the Senator Joseph Edebu. To be honest, he's a pretty nice guy to being around. That was fun meeting him.
He's the hero. He's the hero we doesn't deserve, but the one we need. He's like Batman of iGaming.
Yeah, he's like the Batman of iGaming, and he's doing very, very. He has done already very, very well, being involved in New Jersey as well, and opening up the state of New York. But he's pretty relaxed, talking to him at iGaming Next in New York. He's a very approachable guy, and just cutting a long story short, he just opened up one of the biggest sports betting market on the planet. With New York, if I'm not mistaken, they already had tax revenues exceeding $500 million. So the CFO of the state of New York, he just found like $500 million in his pocket, based on the efforts of Joseph Edebu. But coming back to what Joseph Edebu just stated, New York is surrounded by iGaming states, namely New Jersey, Pennsylvania, and Connecticut, which are witnessing hundreds of millions in annual revenue from iGaming. So he's just stating the facts that hundreds of millions are already gained through opening up to the sports betting vertical, and what is actually hindering or preventing other states from opening up to that additional tax revenue stream as well.
Absolutely. Interesting stuff, Nico. And of course, it goes without saying that the opportunity for the United States to generate a large amount of tax revenue is there. It's no one can deny that, and it should be a straightforward thing. But obviously, these local forces, like the California tribes, for example, other stakeholders, are of course holding legislation back. But who knows? A boy can dream. Maybe one day we'll see federal legislation. Who knows?
Yeah. And one thing to add.
Yes.
Thing to add. So actually, these revenues actually happen. So players in all kinds of states are actually using the verticals of sports betting, of slots, of casinos, of bingos, but this money goes into the black market operations. So
right.
The revenue stream is already out there, and why not legalizing it and gaining a portion of that legislated revenue streams, and getting the money, or holding the money, keeping the money in the states wallets, and doing good with that money, which is actually and already out there.
We will put you in front of the Senate, Nico, and explain, please, to the legislators exactly this issue, and we'll get the ball rolling here. Let's push for that, Nico.
Yeah, maybe these appointments are already on my agenda while I'm traveling around in California. You never know. But we will cover that hot topic within the year. You will see and read each and everything in iGaming Next.
Some hero doesn't wear a cape. Nico Jansson, ladies and gentlemen. Last point of today, last but not least, is the AML and the social responsibility failing of Leo Vegas, which led to a £1.2 million fine here the other day. Very interesting by the UK GC, of course. And Nico, can you go again deeper into this story? Obviously, there's inefficient threshold triggers, spending triggers that are set too high, but also not really that much of a precedent from the UKGC. It's a little bit ambiguous, this fine. We have some interesting comment to bring in here in a little bit time that I'm going to read out. But first of all, Nico, can you explain this story a little bit further to the audience?
Yeah, so first of all, they have been fined by the UK Gambling Commission, the UKGC, with a penalty, as you already lined out, for 1.2 million pounds, which they have to pay either way. And they also have to undergo an audit to actually see or prove that they are well aware of their wrongdoing. So what did they actually do wrong? So first of all, they are live via their entities and brands of Leo Vegas, Bet UK, Pink Casino, 21st Co UK, and Slots Boss brands. And they have first of all received an official warning, and all these brands must undergo an audit. So what they actually did wrong on AML, Leo Vegas had relied too heavily on inefficient threshold triggers and inadequate information regarding customers' spend amounts based on income or wealth or any other risk factor. So they didn't do, assuming or based on the statement of the UK Gambling Commission, did not do the customer due diligence in the way the UKGC actually wants the operators or sees the operators running their customer due diligence. And in addition, the financial triggers were criticized of being too high and unrealistic. So with the monthly, aiming for the monthly spendings, and this is where actually the authorities kicks in and starts fining the companies of their wrongdoings.
Absolutely. Thank you for laying that out, Nico. And I'm going to bring up a really interesting comment that was made on LinkedIn here on screen by Melanie Ellis, one of the partners at Northridge Law LLP, who is focused on betting and gaming, who is commenting on this fine. And she is commenting that one interesting feature of today's penalty for Leo Vegas is the criticism of the operator for failing to explain why triggers were set the way they were. The spending trigger, which prompted review by the Safer Gambling team, was set significantly higher than the average customer spend, and customers were made to take a break after 6 hours of play. In each case, without explanation as to why the figures used were appropriate. And so basically what she's saying is that the issue here is that Leo Vegas were not able to explain why they had set the triggers the way they were set. So why was the trigger set for taking a break after 6 hours? Leo Vegas were not explaining this. They had just set the triggers without really any back thought or explanation why what was the logic behind this, basically. And then she goes on to say, it doesn't necessarily follow that Leo Vegas figures would have been acceptable had the operator been able to provide a satisfactory explanation. However, the takeaway for other operators with this fine is that it would be worthwhile going through all triggers and limits to ensure a rationale for each figure is considered and documented. This could reasonably be based on data from your own customer and their activity, public sources of information, and or public research. So this is basically the argument here is that document and motivate why the triggers and limits are set the way they are, so that when questioned from the UKGC props up, there is a rationale, there is logic, and an explanation, because there is no there's ambiguity of where these limits should be and triggers should be set. Essentially, that's the interesting takeaway from the fine that Leo Vegas attracted here the other day. So Interesting stuff, Nico, and again, it's been great to go through the hour here together with you once again. We are separated by half the world, more or less, today, and I want to just give you credit here, Nico, today for waking up at a very, very early hour. It's essentially 8 in the morning over there right now, right? Or something like this, 7 in the morning.
Yeah,
7 in the morning, and we started here at 6 in the morning. This for you today, so really appreciate that you make the effort here, Nico. But how could we miss the weekly news? It's the highlight of the week, of course. And I want to just also give a big thank you as well to Playson and to Simpler for always supporting these efforts that we try to bring news to the industry, information to the industry that we all love. So thank you for keeping us alive here each week. And Nico, do you have any final words here today?
No, all good. And just to add something to the Leo Vegas story,
Yes.
we are speaking about 6 hours of continuously playing, right? So not taking a break. You still follow the slots machine, etc. Or just to compare it to the regulation in Germany, after 1 hour of continuous play, you have to take a cool down or a pause of 5 minutes. So this just gives some not explanation or just comparable to the actual finding of Leo Vegas. And as already stated, if they would come up with some underlying research or why they actually set the trigger to 6 hours, I'm pretty sure that the UK Gambling Commission would be kind of not happy, but at least they have an explanation. So this is just something more to add to that little story. And as said, we will just see where regulation will head. Also, and especially in the UK, this was a topic we covered like 3 or 4 weeks ago, when the white paper is still in the filing for the UK, and each and every operator is just thrilled to see what will actually be mentioned in the white paper, which is seen as the regulatory framework to actually operate in the UK. So one more thing to add to this white paper as well.
Absolutely, Nico. Thank you so much, Nico. Reporting live from the hot zone here in California, doing the hard work, you're researching what's going to happen over there. Thank you so much, Nico. What do you say? Shall we go down to the sushi place and have a California roll?
We will. Looking forward to it.
Brilliant. All right. Thank you so much, everyone. Thanks for joining in today. It's been an absolute pleasure. We'll be back next week. Thank you.
Bye.